So obviously a little different schedule than a normal week. We kind of been through it before, and so much of it is the mental part of what we're doing, rest, recovery, all those things. Any questions?
Does it make a big difference for the guys to think the second time around?
Well, I think they know the schedule, and we played pretty well, but it's a different type game. I just think we as coaches have learned a lot about how to play these games maybe differently than when we were first doing it, and so I think it's important to really look closely at not over-installing, making sure the guys know what they're getting by heart, plays that they know, and so there'll be some wrinkles. But look, the very first time I was ever at this stadium, I told you guys this already, I think it was Sunday Night Football, Broncos, Chargers, went into overtime if I'm not mistaken, and I couldn't get over. 2/3 of the stadium were Denver fans. And so I know we'll travel well Thursday, going to L.A. That was the first time I was ever at SoFi. So, look, so the focus really is on us, and obviously it's a division opponent, and we have great respect for them. But the focus is on our preparation and attention to detail.
Because of that, Sean, with 2/3 of the fans at that one game you were at being Broncos fans, do you prepare the offense to maybe not have to go against
We talked about it. You got to see where you're at. It's a great question. You got to just get a flavor for what's it sound like and how loud is loud, and but that's a possibility.
How impressed are you with Bo Nix's resiliency, in the way he just throws the 3 interceptions but bounced back when he needed to, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, look, he's played a lot of games. He knows how to win, and he made some big throws for us there that we needed. We took advantage of the return yardage. Marvin's day was fantastic. One of the keys to victory, that was the net punt. They were pretty good with their net punt, and I think they were 6th, we were 8th. But one of the keys in the kicking game was win the net punt battle, and we were able to do that. Those were game-changing plays.
We've seen Bo make adjustments from game to game, Coach. But what is the difference when it's in game and he throws a pick? How did, in your experience in dealing with that position, it's like a hitter if you're having a bad day and you strike out, one strikeout can become.
I think.
How do you deal with
it? I think it's the same question you ask about a corner. There's gonna be ups and downs. You're gonna have, you're pulling the trigger still, and then when you look at the tape, you study the feet, the progression, what you saw. How you arrive, that kind of thing. And occasionally, look, I think the first interception we threw against these guys was, a low ball that got deflected. So you bounce back, and at that point, you've got to have a short memory.
You've talked before about the halftime. It's with Thursday Night Football.
Just a little different.
How much do you emphasize kind of?
Talk about it. Yeah, and these guys are a fast-starting team. These guys, their point differential in the first quarter is better than ours, and so, I think that's important.
Coach, when this game gets flexed to Thursday, this late in the season, does the NFL ask you, do you want to play on Thursday night, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, it happens because it's a second away game. We wanted to, for obvious reasons. It wasn't just about this game, but it was also flexing, the other game out and giving us the additional time prior to going to Cincinnati. And I think Cincy Cleveland was the game in, so we were good with it. Either way.
Coach, you used an analogy of painting the picture around Bo. What have you liked about the supporting cast for your quarterback this year?
Look, it was National Tight End day again last week. Frickin' Troutman and Nate and those guys. All of them. There's roles and places to be, and in the landmarks and the release patterns. It includes the runners and the receivers, and when the routes at the top end of each break, is it exactly where it needs to be relative to the defense you're playing? And if that's muddy, then it becomes harder for the quarterback. And so, there's a lot you can get done in walkthroughs, but you're talking about steps and depths and where's your hot answer? And I just think that, to function at a consistent level and a high level, the attention to detail with the eligibles is extremely important.
Sean, where are you right now in your running game, and where you want?
Well, listen, it's something that, hey, look. What's interesting, you look at Tampa Bay, they ran the ball pretty well the other day, but they were 9 of something on third down. And so I think that to get to those 65, 70 snap games, there's a lot that goes into that. But it's going to be important for us here down the stretch. And then, we're never satisfied, but we've got to be more efficient and look for, this is a good team here, plays the run well. These guys are first in the NFL in points allowed, I think 17.5. So they do a lot of things well. But it's something that kind of ties into staying on schedule, ties into protecting the ball, and then being good on third down.
I was going to ask you about that. You guys are actually tied with the Eagles for first place in the NFL scoring defense. Short week, could it be a defensive struggle? And then on the same token, why do you think the Chargers gave up 40 the other day when you're looking at the film?
Well, it's hard to predict how the game's going to unfold. I think, to your second question, I think that the one thing that Tampa did well was, their third down conversion rate. Even third and long, they hit a touchdown to Evans. They stayed on the field. And I think the time of possession then. And so, last night we did third down, but we can look through the whole season and see, who had those high numbers. And, we have all the third down. You can look at just the conversions. You can look at every third down snap, but that was one of the things that stood out. They had some explosives, and they were able to possess the ball. They ran it, they threw it, but they stayed on the field.
You made a comment on Sunday about you could play in the 225 time slot in your whole career. I'm curious, it seems like you embrace the opportunity to play primetime games, big games. Do you have to talk to a locker room about that, or if you have?
No, I think. Listen, I just tell them, hey, get used to it. That's what we're looking for. They'll tell us when we're playing, where we're playing, and then we'll get ready to play. But, yeah, I think that they get that. They understand that. And I think they're excited about playing another national TV game. And, every one of these guys has got 100 people that are a part of why they're here. Teachers, coaches, parents, cousins, aunts, uncles. Everyone has a different group of 100, but that'll all be watching and feeling like they played a small part or a large part. And so, you're playing for those people.
So what was it that Nick Bonito did between year 2 of this season?
Well, he's getting a lot more snaps in the
What did he do to earn more snaps and become a complete player?
Well, we elevated him. In other words, we elevated him. We saw a young, talented player, and we made some changes. And I think that he's really worked on, his run game defense, and that's a position that requires, just like a lot of energy. And so we've got a rotation with those, we carry 4 of those edge guys. And he's really someone that gets off the ball well, and he bends well. and it's hard to do what he does if you don't bend, and he's got a real good get off. So, but he's kind of earned that, and man, he's having a tremendous year. I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about, like, all of his numbers have been, off the charts. And this will be a fast track, and this will be a silent snap count that we're seeing, by the Chargers. So that helps him.
You talk about the importance of the ball in terms of Chargers. One thing they don't really turn the ball over. So is it added importance this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a credit to Jim, and there's certain formulas to winning, and they've been outstanding. Quarterback hadn't thrown an interception until last week, and so part of this game is understanding how to win, and how not to beat yourself, or how to keep yourself from winning. So I think that'll be extremely important. Look, we just finished a stretch where we played a number of teams where there was a lot of evidence of turnovers, not just by one individual, and now we're hitting a stretch where it's a little different.
So how about the run game for a second? From a design standpoint, you give up anything when the quarterback's in the gun?
I don't think so. I think we look closely at, are we running it enough in the gun? In other words, it's easy defensively to have two calls, and if we're under center, it's this, and if we're in the gun, it's that. So we got to pay close attention to that. And we look closely at the shotgun run game, and look, that's something that we discuss quite a bit.
You obviously added some key pieces defensively this past offseason, but what has Vance done? You've been so much more consistent on that side of the ball.
Yeah, look, I think to his credit, he's done a great job each week of really looking closely at, like, all right, what do we have to take away? What do we have to take away, and then force them to do maybe something that they haven't done as much of? And then how do we rush each quarterback? How do we, some of these guys are better when they're seeing pressure, some of them maybe not so well. But, man, there's obviously a lot of confidence and complete buy-in, and his communication skills are outstanding.